Τα ελληνικά μου είναι χάλια. Θα μιλήσω αγγλικά. Έχω παραγγείλει σαλάτα με μπατζούρια, να καταλαβαίνετε. Ευτυχώς δεν είχανε. I wasn't expecting to be so amazed and surprised on a Saturday morning. First of all, there's so many people here. It's early, and it's Saturday, and it's cold. And there's TED on today. TEDx is on today. And then even more surprising is to hear this stuff from Nasos. I mean, it just blew me away. Γίνεται. Big time γίνεται. I think a big hand, really, to the organizers. A huge hand. Nasos described Greece as probably the worst product on the planet. Why is my... Oh. And that's one of the reasons. Because we've been selling Greece. We haven't been developing Greece, we've been selling Greece. And it amazes me that we continue to do it. I was horrified the other day when I saw this flash mob thing that was done in London. You see that? And you know, Olga Kefalogianni's made a cameo appearance. Does she think she's Hitchcock or what? And it just blew my mind. And then the slogan that they're talking about is all-time classic. What does that mean? They were a 57 Chevy? An old Elvis Presley song? I mean, you know, it's supposed to be forward, not backward, they were talking about. I don't get it. But I believe that one of the reasons why we're the worst product, because we're not the worst product, we're one of the worst brands, is that we keep doing that. We keep selling ourselves. That doesn't work. You've got to be from deep inside, and that's what I'm really talking about today. It's all about, you know, to me, innovation, entrepreneurship. You know, all-time classic is we used to be. It's kind of like, εντάξει παιδιά, δεν μας καταλαβαίνουνε. Θα μάθουν ποιοι είμαστε μια μέρα. All-time classic είμαστε. Doesn't work. We got to move forward. And you know, innovation by definition is about moving forward. Entrepreneurship is taking the risk to move forward. And possibly failing, but moving forward. And that, to me, is the only way that we'll move forward. The only way. I had the luck to work with Steve Jobs. I was part of the team on the relaunch of Apple in 1997. And the first time I met him, by the way, I was wearing a pair of jeans, sneakers. I was working in New York, which is a little more formal than that, but I knew I was going to see Jobs, so I couldn't dress down. And I walked into his office, and he walks out with a pair of shorts and barefoot. And I thought I was going to a wedding. And you know, we spent a long time talking, but I walked away with one thing only. One thing. And that was the reason why he does what he does. And that's the phrase that he used. Let's make a dent on the universe. Let's make a dent on the universe. And I went back to my office in New York, and I was so motivated by my experience and by this phrase which was stuck in my head that I sent him an email. And that email said one thing. It said, the world needs Apple. Because he made me believe that the world needs Apple. And instead of selling Greece, we've got to make the world believe that the world needs Greece. Because you know something? It does. And I'll be talking a bit about that. Just back to Apple for a second, because this to me becomes a case study in how to take a failed situation and turn it into a huge success. And I want to talk a bit about that. So I want to show you a commercial that we did. I remind you, I'm going to take you back to 1997. In 1997, Apple was ready to close. The stock was trading at $5 on the NASDAQ in New York. I bought shares, by the way, at $5. And a year later, I sold them at 10. And I thought I was a genius. But the company was ready to close. There was no reason for that. There was absolutely no reason. Windows 95 had closed the gap in terms of the interface of the operating system. So all of a sudden the creative community was okay with Windows, which they weren't before that. And, you know, Apple machines were slow, they were boring, and they were very expensive. And nobody was buying them. You couldn't justify it. And there was no new product. There was no new product at the time. But there was this statement from Jobs, let's make a dent on the universe. And we developed a piece of advertising which has become very famous, which ran around the world. And this is the piece of advertising. Do we have sound on the computer?
Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. The only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
Very significantly, the Apple journey from bankruptcy to the world's largest corporation took 15 years. It started with a belief. It started with a reason why. It didn't start with products. It started with a belief. And on the back of that, everything was built. Okay. And I want to read this copy because it's, I think, very relevant. Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them. Now, those words should be familiar to every person in this room, because it's what drives an innovator. It's what drives an entrepreneur. But it also sounds like that's a Greek speaking. We are the troublemakers. We are the round pegs in the square holes. We are the misfits, which is why we become the poster child of what is a global crisis. And they put us forward, because this is us. But it's the next step that we've got to complete, which is this. Because they change things. They push the human race forward. While some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to change the world are the ones who do. And that's what we've got to now complete, is the other side of it. And we can do it. You know it. And the fact that, you know, here it is, you guys can do it. I gave this talk about a year ago in Thessaloniki, and a guy called Nick Malkoutsis from Kathimerini picked it up. And he wrote this. He said, Greece is the apple of the Mediterranean. It's a crazy idea. In fact, it's an idea that is just about crazy enough to succeed. And I believe that. And I believe it today more than I did a year ago. I really believe it. Just let's take a little walk back into history, because we're a little screwed up. Sometimes I feel that this nation needs serious psychoanalysis. Let's go back to Athens 2004. And it's worth reading this. This was written by a journalist who said the following thing: the most beautiful and moving opening ceremony in Olympic history. This spectacular event told the story of a country steeped in pride for its remarkable cultural heritage. A country which has made an incredible contribution to modern civilization. The ceremony captured the Greek joy of life, the soul, heart, and spirit of a newly transformed modern nation. It gave vision for the future. It gave Greece a role in the modern world. Beautiful. I mean, that's exactly how we should be positioned. Exactly. Past, present, future, creativity, vision, and a role in the modern world. It's perfect positioning. Perfect positioning. And what do? We take the International Broadcasting Center, state of the art at the time, the best in the world. It hosted the entire media community, and from there, the games were broadcast to billions of people around the world. At a time that Dubai was busy building a media city so it could create, we take this incredible thing and we turn it into a shopping mall. Passion for fashion. So we can go broke buying Gucci. Frankly, I don't get it. I really don't get it. So, cultural erosion and value erosion. I mean, that's the only conclusion that you can come to. It's the only conclusion. And as I said in an article, χάσαμε το πάθος μας για μια Prada. And just when we thought we had it all, everything was like perfect. We see this. The Europeans say to us, Greece is something we can live without. French Minister for European Affairs. I want you to witness the body language here. Βραγμένο γάτα. And then we see the world's media doing some stuff that I, as a creative guy, I personally envy very much. I mean, that is a beautiful piece. I mean, it's just incredible, right? The cover of Libération with the word house written in Greek. Brilliant. Not if you're Greek, it hurts. It hurts. And then you see this. I mean, this is just too much. Greece loses its marbles. And we don't mean these. And they point down to the Elgin marbles. And look at the expression on Yorgakis' face. And you say, And then you see this happening. And this was in February, do you remember? And then I saw this remarkable piece written by a guy called Barnaby Phillips from Al Jazeera, where he says that somebody asked him that, why do you only show what is bad in Greece? You would not film this in your own country. And his answer is the following. What happens next in this small country on the edge of Europe affects all of us. So be it economic salvation or else disastrous default, we'll carry on reporting this story. Reporters based in the former war zones of the Balkans now rotate in and out of Greece in time for the latest strike or debt deadline. We bring tripods, light cases, and satellite phones. We look for defining images, riots in Syntagma Square. And the worst of us have got our cliches ready for our scripts. Greek tragedy, Greek drama. Never mind that for most, local language skills don't extend beyond Kalimera. That won't stop the confident-sounding analysis on the 24 hours news channels. And our appetite is voracious. The modern news machine is a hungry beast, and we have to keep on feeding it. True. That's the way that media works. We're not going to change that. But then we blame the media for this. Of course, the Greek channels pick up whatever is on the foreign channels. Like if Bloomberg says in 24 hours, the Greeks will commit mass suicide, that'll become a headline story on antenna. And after that, they'll give us Dancing with the Stars to make us feel good. And then we see stuff like this, another brilliant piece of communication. Most Germans own a second property. It's called Greece. And this is an advertisement on the Tube in London advertising The Spectator and a supplement that they're doing. And I admire that, but my God, it hurts if you're Greek. It really hurts. So what happens is you get erosion of self-esteem. And I saw some research a couple of months ago where the image of Greece is not as bad as you'd expect it to be, right? But the national self-esteem is right at the bottom. It's in the last place, right? Because suddenly we feel we can't do it. We feel like, and you see faces like this, and we feel screwed. And you know something? It's difficult to attract a girl when you don't feel good about yourself. You can be the best looking guy on the planet. If you don't have self-confidence, you can't do it. Because you look like a loser. Plato, brilliant quote. I just love this. Our city is what it is because our citizens are what they are. There's nothing wrong with Greece. We've got the problem. There's absolutely nothing wrong with Greece. Greece is incredible. We've got a problem right now. And you start walking around the streets of Athens, and you see stuff like this. Wow, the way I'm carrying on, there will be a mass suicide in here shortly, right? And suddenly you realize, hey, this is not a horror movie I'm watching, this is my life. And you start to really freak out. Because you understand that you're part of this. It's not a movie. There's no more popcorn. And suddenly you realize that you have to create your way out of this crisis, that there's no other way, that you have to create your way out of this crisis. One of the most commonly used words in the Greek language is malaka. We all know that, right? Yasu malaka, tikasu malaka. And we use it a lot. Right? The second most common word is then yinete. Then yinete means, I don't feel like doing it. It's a very flexible word, by the way, versatile. It also means it can't be done. It means it can be done, but I'm busy having lunch right now. It means all sorts of things. But then yinete is the second most common phrase in this country. Sometimes they combine the words together. Then yinete malaka. Yinete. We've got to take this then word and just get rid of it and stay with the yinete, because yinete. By the way, it's got to yinete, because if it doesn't yinete, we're in deep shit. We have to create our way out of this crisis, which is why I was talking about Sakis Roumas. Sakis does not go on stage saying, then yinete. The Greek football team in 2004 did not walk into the stadium in Lisbon saying, then yinete. Dinos Dimas did not say, then yinete. And the guys who built the Parthenon certainly did not say, then yinete. Yati yinete.